We feel in the theater because someplace we know all of this that's inside of us, we will have a chance to access it and liberate it. To the green room!
She has a life force, like one of those spaceships that has this battery that takes you out to the stars. You can see it when you're in the room with her. You know, you can see it in her work.
Fuck you! You got a love bite on your neck. He's coming back this morning. What's the matter with you? Your life's going down the toilet.
Olympia Dukakis and
everybody was thrilled that a great actress who had dedicated her life to the arts was finally getting the recognition that she deserved.
Olympia the actress is superb. Her range is frightening and wonderful to watch. It's what every actor wants. I want it.
Hit this! Go ahead, Malin! Slap her!
One of the things that makes me happy and alive is work.
What are you afraid of doing? Something wrong? You're in a basement on Clinton Street.
She believes in justice. Justice for people who are downtrodden, justice for people who've been manipulated or lied to.
I'm so proud of my preoperative, transsexual, lesbian son.
I remember her eyes. They were very sexy. And I says, oh my God, this woman. And then she wasn't a shrinking violet. She never was.
You dance with somebody, bang, that prick is hard, you know? You rub against somebody, you walk into the prick is hard. I said, but then the day comes that you can't take for granted a hard prick. I'll walk down the street and there'll be a wonderful wind. I love wind. In that I think about not having this anymore, not having that wind. And I have this flash of fear. You know what, Rosemary? I'm an octogenarian today. Is that toilet paper? No, it's not. Oh my God. I'm 80 years old. I find that unforgivable. There's only one way to know. I have to go out and find out. Is it time to stop?
Harry, now we have to sound natural.
How you doing, Adam?
All right. I think this is, I was thinking about before we started this. I think it's the first time we've spoken, at least Zoom, face to face, since Olympia passed away.
Yeah, it is.
I was texting you, I think.
Yep.
But this is the first time we've spoken. So it's been a few months now.
It has, and you know, it didn't really hit me when it happened. You know, because of COVID, she was in her apartment. I was able to see her, thankfully, a few weeks before she passed away.
Oh, really?
But I hadn't seen her for about a year.
Oh.
Before that, because of COVID, they wouldn't allow anyone to get to the apartment, and so when she passed away, you know, it was news. There was no emotion, like there was a lot of feeling that and all of a sudden, I don't know, like 3 months later, it started hitting me like, oh, I can't call her.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't, she's not here anymore. And it's like, I don't know, like recently also, like, I miss her. I miss her so much.
Yeah, it comes in waves.
Yeah.
Right. That's grieving, what it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
So what was was she ill? What was her circumstances? Was she okay?
It was I think old age. She basically was ready to go. Like, she controlled most of her life, and I really believe that she controlled the end too. There's a great little story where her brother told me, Apollo, they called him from he's in LA, and they said, you really should come, and see Olympia. And so they flew to New York, and he said the doctor was there with a nurse, and the doctor was checking her out and said, Olympia, you really have to drink more liquids. You're dehydrated, and I want you to like raise your hands a couple of minutes every day.
Circulation.
So there was like fluid that, on
Oh.
her extremities, and
She was getting she was, what's the word? Not bloating, but she was.
yeah, I don't know the actual word, but there's like,
Yeah,
with dehydration, there's like fluid that goes into your extremities. So he wanted her to like, so
raise her hands up, right?
yeah. And so the doctor turned around to say something to the doctor, to the nurse, and Olympia turns to Apollo and she said, "It's a wrap." Like she was done.
She was 90.
Yep. I think 89.
Yeah.
A little shy of, yes.
A full life. I mean, you mentioned she died of old age, but I will say only in response to that is old never applied to her, because I think, old is a state of mind mostly. And although I don't have a personal relationship with her, I met her on 2 occasions, I guess.
Well, there was two major.
She was always very,
yes,
she wasn't an old woman.
There was 2 major events that I think caused the turn, and one was losing her husband.
Of course,
she tried her best to hang out without him, and it was very difficult. And 2, COVID.
Yeah,
being a very social person, needing people around, and being locked up in an apartment was not helpful.
Yeah, especially for her, and her just the very essence of who she was somebody who connected on so many levels with people. That comes across in your movie and in your documentary, and she was deprived of so much of that.
Yeah,
so tragic. You could have been talking about my dad, who died during the pandemic as well, because the moment that my mom was out of the picture, she hasn't died technically speaking, but she's has dementia, and they're even very public about it. But she had to leave. We had to move her out, and that was the first thing. And then definitely COVID was what did him in, but he had already checked out, and I know they were so close.
Those kind of relationships, it's hard when one goes away.
Of course. Yeah. And remind people, her husband, of course, was, a very, very regarded stage actor.
Yes, stage actor, and on television and in film. Louis Zorich is his name. He did Fiddler on the Roof.
Never heard of it. Is it any good?
I think you should
check it out. Okay.
Check it out.
It's funny. Actually, I was looking back in some notes or something about a 1980s version of Death of a Salesman I had seen with Dustin Hoffman, and his sons were played by John Malkovich and oh darn, I know I can think of the other actor, I just can't remember his name. But Louis Zorich played his brother, Dustin Hoffman's brother, in that production.
Well, that's a great story, and remind me to go back to the film that we just spoke about, Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah, just remind me to go back there.
Oh, it's a movie too.
Death of a Salesman started off as a theater play on Broadway with, it wasn't with John Malkovich, but it was with Dustin Hoffman, and they brought in Louis to be part of it. And he tells a great story where he walks to the theater and he sees his name was so big, it was like Dustin Hoffman, Louis Zorich, and he's like, oh my God, who am I? And he has so many stories about Dustin Hoffman and how wonderful and kind and generous as an actor he was. And then when they decided to do the film, and they brought in John Malkovich, Dustin wanted Louis again. And it's a great little film. I've
seen it. Yeah. It's basically a teleplay, but it was, I think, done with, obviously it was staged like, but it was shot so on the stage with multiple cameras. If I remember correctly,
Yeah, exactly.
really directed in a different style because
which usually I don't like.
Me either.
But this was, I think, because the acting was so great from all of them, that you just can't help but, you know, being invested, and it was great.
So was my memory wrong that John Malkovich wasn't in the Broadway production?
I want to say that he wasn't.
Because I tend to remember he played. I could be wrong. I have to look back again and check it out. But there were
maybe he was. I don't know.
Two well-known actors came out. You know, they both kind of. I still saw Malkovich in a number of plays, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember. But the funniest story about Fiddler on the Roof is that was in the 70s. It was Norman Jewison who, fast forward years later, he directed Olympia Dukakis. And I asked him when I interviewed Norman Jewison.
He directed Moonstruck.
That's right.
Didn't he?
Yes, he did. So he did Fiddler on the Roof in the 70s. And they shot, I think, in what was then Yugoslavia. And Olympia and Louis had the theater company, the whole theater in Montclair, or maybe it was before that, but there was a company involved, and the whole company decided to go to Yugoslavia for 6 months while Louis was shooting with Norman Jewison. And they were doing improvisations and exercises and, you know, just honing their skills. And when I asked Norman Jewison, I said, did you know when you hired Olympia, did you know that Olympia was Louis Zoric's wife? And he's like, not at that moment. It was only later that I figured out the connection. And I had met Olympia while we were shooting, you know, because they were all there. You know, it was like the crazy actress who basically stopped everything in their lives and then moved to another country illegally to be with, you know, Louis Zorich. Yeah,
right, Louis Zorich. Well, I do recall fondly him when I knocked on the door that day. You and I first met at Olympia's apartment, at Louis' apartment, and with my son, and as you, who I was, I guess, with a lot in those days, he wouldn't mind hanging out with me. And and Louis answered the door, you know, larger than life. And he was funny and warm. I just had it was a nice way to be welcomed into their home. And, you know, it was a nice experience.
Yeah, Louis was very gregarious and loved people, loved to gossip, to hear gossip and stories, and he was full of stories. And even, you know, he was much older than Olympia, I think 6 or 7 years older than her. And you know, he was in 92, 93 years old. And I remember Olympia would be like, Louis, what was the play that you blah blah in 19 blah, blah, and he'd be like, right away, say the play, the date, the people involved. It was incredible.
Right, sharp too. Right, yeah. I had no idea he was remotely that old. Again, 2 people didn't act their age. But I want to mention, and we buried the lead, that Olympia, the documentary, as of now, is available for streaming on Amazon Prime Video.
Yes, to rent or buy on Amazon Prime. Yes.
Yeah. So
which was a big thing for us, because Amazon last year announced that they wouldn't be taking any documentaries anymore. And
go to hell, Amazon. Who needs that kind of talk?
Our digital distributor found a loophole, and we managed to get in.
Oh, there's another category. In other words, your film could fall under
something. I don't know what they did, but thankfully, 2 days ago, January 18th, we got into Amazon, which was
great.
Amazing. And we're still moving forward. Like we're still currently cutting the film basically in half to do a 50-60 minute version
broadcast.
for PBS.
And is that's a green light?
Not yet. Not yet. We're working on that. It's a long process. Very, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, and
it's a natural American Masters, though.
It wouldn't be an American Masters, even though I think she should have been.
Totally. I mean, people got to see the film, because we touched on Louis, and I mean, one thing about we'll come back to the broadcast, but their relationship, the frankness about their sexuality, it's really so important. I think the film does things that I don't even think you intended to do, because it's Olympia, and the lessons and the her complete transparency and willing to put herself out there, and strive for such honesty. I mean, nobody's 100%, of course. But that was what she was striving for. It seems to me. So it's so much to take away from the film. So that's why I keep inviting you back on.
Well, the other thing that's incredible about Olympia is that willingness of not accepting anyone telling her, you can't do this. You can't do this because you're Greek. You can't do this because you're a woman.
Look, behind you.
That's
now it's your turn.
Where'd it go?
Oh, look, there's another. Look,
Freddie, meet Bella. But this idea, of a woman just pushing forward with what she wanted, what she believed in, and her goals and aspirations, and she kept getting no, and it was like, okay, I'm not listening, I'm just going forward. And it's so inspiring to see a woman at that time doing that. And so it's definitely, I mean, based on the screenings that we've done and people that I've spoken to, she inspires everyone, whether you're 24 years old, 45 or 70, whether you're a woman or a man.
Don't get too binary on me. Yeah, no, I mean, truly. And if you're an actor, boy, could you use that lesson, because you have to forge on and don't listen to people telling you don't look right, you should lose weight, you should gain weight. It's usually you should lose weight, but or you have to change this about yourself, and they'll crush you.
Well, back then she wouldn't get even auditions because of her name, and Olympia Dukakis meant she was ethnic, which meant that she could only play ethnic roles. And so she realized early on that it wasn't going to happen in New York. So what did she do? She went to Montclair, across the river, started her own theater company, and started making people go see her from New York to Montclair, for 25 years. And that's how she built her reputation, and had Norman Jewison say, I want you. I want you from Moonstruck.
Right. And she, maybe the centerpiece of the film was your documentary meeting, is Oscar, the footage, the archive of her getting the Oscar.
Behind the scenes.
Huh?
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, when she's getting her makeup.
Rooms.
Yeah.
Right. And then calling her cousin.
Michael Dukakis, the governor
for president then, right?
Yep. Yeah, the same year that she won the Oscar,
yes.
He was running for president. And one of my favorite lines in the film is when he says to her, how did we, two kids from the streets of Lowell, Massachusetts, how did we end up here? And she says, I don't know how this happened. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I mean, I'm Greek, and having like those two Greek American icons, just like one running for president and the other one getting an Oscar, was huge for our community.
Yeah,
and it was huge for the theater.
Astoria was all lit up that year with
and Montclair
restaurants. Huh?
And Montclair, New Jersey. Montclair
Montclair.
like had a whole reception when she came back
Right.
from
Oh, I'm sure.
Los Angeles. Yes.
Well, so many great films and play. I mean, just what a career. You know. It's called Olympia. Now, tell me how you arrived at that name.
We had a long discussions, and I have to give credit to my editor, Sam Eggers. From the very start, he said, we're saying Olympia Dukakis, blah 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 blah. You know, Olympia Dukakis, da 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 da. And he was like, I think it should just be Olympia. There's no one else.
Right.
And we're like, no, you need like something else. People need to recognize, you know, it's Olympia Dukakis. Right. And we kept trying. It took us months and months and months. And then we started testing. And at the end, it was like, yeah, Olympia. That's it.
Yeah, right. And it's
her face is so recognizable, at least, you know, for
and that voice.
Yeah, and the voice.
That crooked smile or what? Just such a singular.
It's the heavy lidded eyebrows, you know, that go down. That you know, you don't really see anyone.
Yeah, and you get to see her in her prime, and when she was this young woman, or so voluptuous and amazing, just so exuded such sensuality and everything. It's fantastic, and you see it still, you know, at the last years of her life, still that the sensuality is there as much as ever. You know, she really puts people old age to shame. I mean, it's like, I can't say that enough.
We went to Cyprus when she was 80 because she was going to do a play there. So I went to film, you know, that experience, that trip. And at some point, we were having coffee, and she said to me, Harry, I don't think I like it here. I was like, and this is my country, you know, and I'm like, why? She's like, everybody treats me like an old woman. No one flirts with me.
Oh.
And I was like, what? You know, like,
it's addictive. It's addictive.
It was eye-opening. Being with her was every day, every week, there was something new that would blow my mind. You know, she would blow my mind, like, oh my God, you know, that idea that at 80 you're still sensual, you want to be, you know, approached and flirted with
and felt perceived as a sexual person.
Yes.
You know, by and attract. Yeah, I mean, of course. Well, I certainly saw it, you know. I picked up on it.
I think anyone who has ever met her in person picked that up. It's very it was very obvious. It was there. Yeah. And the fact that, you know, her willingness to talk about, you know, having an open relationship with her husband and all that, you know, was amazing to me.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was only us gays that do that stuff.
No, it turns out.
It turns out other people do.
Do you think, are you ready? Are you putting your sort of, I don't know, antennae up? Are you looking at thinking what could follow that act in terms of future projects of yours as a filmmaker, as a storyteller after doing that? I mean, where do you go from there?
You know, I have a second documentary that I'm working on. It's kind of paused because, like I said, you know, Olympia has been taking a lot of my time, and now with going back to editing again.
Oh my God! Right.
Yeah, it's
remaking the film.
The remake, and it's a different kind of film because it's for television, and you know, I created the film. It took us years to create this beautifully cinematic, poetic film that doesn't really, you know, you can't have it on television. It doesn't really work. at 110 minutes. So cutting half of it off.
Make it longer, make it a docuseries. That's a better solution. Make it 300 minutes.
I know, right? That's a good idea.
Incredible amount of outtakes. So
yeah, I'll spend my whole life on Olympia.
you could.
But yeah, so there's other things that are happening, but I'm still not done with this. And I feel like once I'm done with Olympia, hopefully in the next year, because the PBS process takes a long time.
Right.
Then I'll be able to concentrate on other stuff. I mean, I'm writing scripts. There's other things that I'm doing, but nothing major just yet, other than the second documentary that I shot, and I'm waiting to start editing.
Well, we'll look forward to that maybe in the next year or two then.
Yeah.
How will we stand? I mean, if we don't have Olympia to talk about, I mean, I guess we'll have maybe a broadcast. So maybe there will be a fifth one of these. I don't.
Yeah, no, I think there will be. Because that would be major. If we can get into PBS, that would be major.
Well, of course it would. It means that many more people will see it.
Exactly. And my goal for this film has always been, I need people to watch it. Because it changed my life, not just making it,
right. Sure.
Meeting her. And there's so many amazing messages that you get from her that I want people to watch it. So PBS would give us that, millions of
course,
of people that can watch it.
So, but in the meantime, folks, go, especially if you're in the arts, you need to go to Amazon and see the full version. And there's so many great moments for it. We'll show the trailer at the beginning, but, and if you have any, I don't know if I still have any clips or anything, but we'll show the trailer at the very least at the beginning, and so people get a flavor of what the documentary is about and what it's like.
Yeah, right. And the website, olympiathefilm.com.
And we'll put that. All right. We're going to put that in at the end. I usually put in the link for at least I can show the link. I can't actually put a link on Zoom, but I can, or on a video. But I usually put the website and at Olympia the film.
olympiathefilm.com.
Yeah. So good. All right. Well, there we go. We've done it again.
Always a pleasure.
Same here. And enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
And and we'll catch up. We'll do a visit or something. We'll figure it out. I know your house won't be ready till whenever, maybe 2020, later in 2022 or 2023, whatever. No rush.
Either.
As long as it comes out the way you want it to. It's the important part. But thank you, Harry.
Thank you so much, Adam, and take care of Bella. Say hi to your son.
Yeah, he should be up here tomorrow. I'm going to call him now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Same here. So I'll put this up tomorrow, and the podcast. I don't know how it will be actually easy. I'm not going to do much editing because I have so much. I started a new job. I think I mentioned, right?
Yep.
So I just so my whole schedule has changed. I was working from home, so I could always schedule things on the much more flexibility, more guests, but it's fine. I'm happy to streamline, and make it a little less smaller, for a while.
Yeah.
But it's just the time to keep up with everything. It's becoming.
Get an intern.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm serious.
I'm raising one. You know what I mean?
No, get an intern. Like there would be people who would, students, college students who.
I know, and I'm right near Bard, and I'm not far from SUNY, and
yeah. I know that takes time for you to sit and find an intern, but
and then train them in all the things,
Yeah.
It's true. It's okay, yeah. But yeah. And then there's just the keeping my, just also having energy and it's like that's why I try to do this as quickly as I can when I get home, because
same with me.
Sometimes we'll start, I'll start getting, it's 8 o'clock, so I've got maybe another hour and a half till I start to get real. I started falling asleep like regularly on the couch, which I never used to do.
Oh
no, so it's like an old man.
Yeah. All right. Well,
all right.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
You
and
too.
We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good night.